The message to criminals and thugs that I'd like to send: if they continue to engage in violent and lawless behavior in our communities, the consequences for such behavior will be dire.
An 18-month federal, state, and local investigation landed 27 people in custody. 15 of them are from Colombia. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Reek.
And I'm Paige Travis. The charges include conspiracy to distribute cocaine and crack cocaine, promotion of prostitution, and possession of illegal firearms. Officials say gang activity prompted the investigation that includes multiple locations in Colombia and surrounding areas. Police say 2 of the Colombia locations were known drug houses. Federal prosecutors say a former Boone County employee, Kristen Sleet, leaked information about a search warrant to a target before the search happened, but officials found out about the leak in time. Attorneys say Sleet has a child with one of the other suspects. They are both charged with felonies related to drug trafficking conspiracy. Officials are still looking for 5 suspects. One of the suspects indicted in the large raid is someone we've covered at KOMU 8 before.
Right now, Malcolm Redmond faces charges including drug trafficking and starting a prostitution business. KOMU 8's Colin Ruane is here in the studio with more on his long rap sheet.
We went through our own archives and court records and found Malcolm Redmond was involved in dozens of cases. This is a look at 31-year-old Redmond's mugshot from earlier this year when a grand jury indicted him on charges including intent to distribute cocaine. He pleaded not guilty to those charges last month. Back in 2012, Redmond was also charged with assault for an incident before a shooting near the former Boone Tavern. We also found cases including drug possession and resisting arrest from more than a decade ago. We went to Sunshine Drive in Boone County earlier today to talk to neighbors of Redmond, but they were afraid to talk to us on camera. We also went to 2 other neighborhoods involved in the series of drug raids. One neighbor on Sanford Drive in Columbia told us police go up and down the street frequently and doesn't remember the raid happening earlier this year. Another told us at least one neighbor has left because of the raid and others are considering moving away too. For a look at other KOMU 8 stories involving Redmond as well as the full list of suspects involved in this month's indictment, you can go to KOMU.com.
The Columbia-Boone County Board of Health voted to recommend increasing the purchase age for tobacco products to 21. However, not everyone agrees with the board's recommendation. The Missouri Petroleum Marketers and the Convenience Store Association Executive Director Ronald Leone says he doesn't think the city has the authority to change the law and believes it's a violation of freedom.
It's easy to pick on 20% of the population that uses tobacco products. It's harder to stick up for them and allow their rights to continue to do things that are admittedly unpopular.
The board will formally present its recommendations to the City Council in the coming weeks.
After Oregon, Alaska, and Washington, D.C. joined Colorado and Washington State in legalizing regulation of marijuana, MU campus organizations brought in speakers to talk about Missouri's drug situation. The Columbia City Council voted against decriminalizing marijuana for those 21 and up last month, but Show Me Cannabis chairman Dan Viets, who was at the event, says the trend to legalize marijuana seems to be catching on.
Clearly, the majority of Americans now agree that marijuana prohibition is a failed policy, and just as with alcohol, it makes much more sense to control and tax and regulate cannabis legally than it does to try to treat everybody who uses marijuana as if they were a criminal.
The key speakers tonight were Neil Franklin and Ira Glasser. Show Me Cannabis filed an initiative petition last week to legalize, tax, and regulate cannabis within the state. Recent efforts to get the measure on the ballot have been unsuccessful.
Local organization hopes public schools in Missouri will add pre-K programs. Today it hosted a forum to discuss the benefits. The League of Women Voters of Columbia and the Boone County hosted the forum to talk about how programs can lower the achievement gap. The organization stressed early childhood education can provide a seamless transition for kids going into grade school. The chairwoman said there are a few questions that need to be answered before incorporating early childhood education into any school district.
The dilemma we have is who should pay for it, how much should it be regulated or standardized, and should it be absorbed by the public schools the way kindergarten was at one time.
This year, Missouri is one of 8 states to submit an application for a federal preschool development grant. The grant would provide states with funds to enhance and expand current preschool programs.
New research discussed in Columbia today shows early childhood experiences can have long-term health effects. A psychologist says some of these effects might not show up until middle age or even later. He looks at the role of the environment that it plays in the expression of genes and what that means for well-being. An MU professor explains the research looks at risk of both physical and mental health problems like early exposure to stress and violence.
Just knowing that those things are, in fact, we might all suspect that those are related to negative outcomes, but he's really able to quantify this and show the links and exactly what kinds of outcomes may result.
The psychologist says a lot of the work now focuses on health behaviors and environments that can help those that might be at risk.
Columbia is asking residents to report unauthorized vehicles in handicapped spots online. In the past 4 years, the Columbia Police Department has only written 4 tickets to vehicles illegally parked. The online form was made to enforce handicapped parking with the help of citizens. The Columbia Disabilities Commission held a meeting today to talk about how the new online system is working. If you would like to find a link to the online form, you can find it at our website, KOMU.com.
As the days grow colder, people are looking for ways to escape the freezing temperatures. Several warming centers are opening up around Columbia. These are places where community members can stop by and get out of the cold. The Daniel Boone Regional Library and the Ark in Columbia serve as 2 of those centers, allowing people to sit, sometimes check out books, and use public computers and Wi-Fi while they warm up.
I think it's good to provide free warming centers for people so that they have an opportunity to get in and out of the cold, and it just improves their quality of life. I think it's a very good thing that this community does.
And when the wind chills are really low, you know, people that need to come in, they may not have the clothing that they need to be out in those elements. So, yeah, we more than welcome those people to come in and feel comfortable.
If you'd like to find out a place to pop in from a cold walk or go to a bus stop while you're going to a bus stop, we'll have a full list of warming centers in Columbia area on our website at KOMU.com. I saw some flurries today. Let's send it over to Rosie to see what's in store.
Thanks, Paige. I think those warming centers are an excellent idea, especially with the forecast that we have ahead. I wish I was giving some better news about warming temperatures. It's just not in the cards. Let's talk about what's been going on in the last 12 hours. If you've been out and about across mid-Missouri today, you know that even though this satellite and radar composite doesn't show much of it, we saw a fair amount of flurry activity, not accumulating, of course, but a lot of light flakes flying across the area. What you're seeing there at the end of that satellite and radar composite loop right there is where those clouds start to clear. That's our overnight trend. We should be looking at clearing skies heading towards sunrise tomorrow morning, which means we are seeing the coldest overnight lows of the week. And we have a lot to talk about as far as the weekend ahead is concerned. Our first real chance to see a few white flakes that hit the ground and stay there. A lot to cover. I'll talk about your next 8 days in total coming up in just a few minutes.
India ran a sterilization campaign to combat overpopulation, but now 13 women are dead. Find out what went wrong in 10 minutes.
Plus, high-ranking al-Qaeda leaders caught. The details in tonight's Worldview.